The design for man is that it's a creature of prayer. And there is nothing like prayerless in the Bible. Nothing. Nothing. The opposite of prayerful is not prayerless. The opposite of prayerful is fainting. You see, if you are not operating according to design, if you are not praying always, it means you have found a way of existing, another way of existing, and that way is called fainting. You are on life support. There is no hope. So he lost everything God gave him. Everything that happened from Adam to the coming of Jesus were little interventions for sustenance. The reprogram for his restoration had to be packaged in another Adam. So there was the first Adam and there had to be the last Adam, because this is a program for humanity to rise up and function in the class of God. And so God had to bring another entity into the world that carried all of those things that Adam lost: the nature of God, the likeness of God, the authority of God, the presence of God, and the life of God. And there was no creature on earth that carried it, and there was no way you could put it in another creature, because the first man who had it didn't get it from the earth. It came from heaven. God breathed into him those realities. And so God had to bring the same into the world so that he can ransom the earth. And so for the making of sons to be possible, another son had to walk on the earth, so that when we look upon him, we will understand that which is in the heart of God. And remember, the purpose is for us to be able to extend and advance God's kingdom. And so what did God do? He brought another son to the earth. This is why I told you yesterday, in apostolic doctrine, our major burden is to teach Christ, is to reveal Christ, because Christ is the summation of all that man requires. If we don't have Christ, we can't be restored. We can't be brought back to the original plan that God has for us. And so in our study of Christ, there are 7 things that we must understand. And these are the things that make us who we are. If we don't know them, and if we don't believe them, we can never become. I wish I had time to teach you about dominion. The dominion that God wanted to give us before Adam missed it. You know, God said, let them have dominion. You go read that scripture. Genesis 1:26, reiterated Genesis 1:28. When I searched the word dominion, it meant 4 things basically. Number 1 is the authority for governance. That means every man was created a governor. Every man was designed to have his own jurisdiction of operation. That means if you come into a territory, that territory has no power to subdue you. You come as a governor. The ability to dominate was in you. That's why God told him, have dominion over the birds of the air, over the fish of the sea, and over everything that creepeth upon the face of the earth. So every man has a measure of authority over the air, the land, and the water. Even the weakest man, the land where he stands, he has taken over it. You can't go and remove where his footprints are. That land is under him. There's a measure of dominion. It's power for governance. The second meaning for dominion is the authority to prevail. That means men were not created to be defeated. That's why even your biological makeup, you have antibodies that fight foreign materials. You are a creature of dominion. It's a wonder that sickness can bring men down. You were designed, if a virus enters you, it's supposed to die. The virus is not the one to kill you. It was supposed to die. That's how you were designed. But because man is falling, anything now kills him. But he has the power within himself to prevail. That's how he was designed. There was never a need for Adam to take drugs. It was drug in motion. Anything he ate was food. Can you imagine? They were not cooking, yet they didn't die. They plunged on grass. They just ate it, and they were doing well. You You now, you have to cook the food and cook where? Kill germs, otherwise you're in trouble. Adam didn't know anything about germs. Who was washing hand? Wash what? What is hygiene? What do you mean by hygiene? Anyone you eat. Both the death and the food is blessing. Such was the power. He was a prevailer. That's dominion. And I'm not saying don't practice hygiene. The guy had dominion. That's why the animals feared him. No matter how deadly a tiger think he is, when you approach Adam, you calm down. You roar and see when he turns at you. You will know that there is a king in the jungle beyond the lion. Because he had prevailing power. Even the demons, there was no, you will never hear about demon in the book of Genesis chapter 1. No demon could operate there. Adam was the only one who prevailed. Any demon who came around, you had to submit immediately. Hope you know demons didn't suddenly come when Jesus came. There were demons from Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 because they fell before Adam was created. But he had prevailing power, so no one approached him. And if you have to come close to him, you have to use wisdom and subtlety. Because if you want to fight, he will destroy you. And that's not all. He also had the capacity to live in glory. Because the word dominion means glorious existence. He was a glorified being. That's why when you see him, you see God. But the man fell. And because of that, he could no longer advance God's government. So the only way of restoration was for another Adam to come. So that the fallen man can come under his umbrella and be restored back to dominion. And so when Jesus came, he came to restore that which the first Adam lost and more. And so if you don't understand the person of Christ, you cannot enter into the fullness of your destiny. And in understanding the person of Christ, there are a few things you need to know. Number one, you need to know his essence. Number two, you need to know his works. That's why the apostles say, we preach Christ and him crucified. Him crucified are the works that he did. Him as Christ is his essence. Your understanding of the person of Christ and the works of Christ will activate faith in your spirit. And that faith is the first journey into dominion. At least dominion that had the eternal signature. And so when we study Christ from the perspective of his essence, there are four things that are categorically spelled out in scriptures. Number one, he is God. There are many religions of the world that try to define and explain who Christ is. And they honor him. They say he's the greatest prophet. They don't know him. He is more than a prophet.
How can you run when you don't know the way of the Spirit?